Has there ever been a time where you're at a wrestling tournament or duel where you don't know what's going on? Or you're talking to a friend that is in wrestling and have no idea what they're saying? I'm a college wrestler at Hawkeye, and I'm here to explain how scoring is done in women's freestyle wrestling. Freestyle wrestling is scored a bit different than folk style. There's a lot of different points that you can get that you cannot get in folk style. Freestyle can become a very quick match because it is very easy to rack up points. Now let's talk about how college freestyling is scored. First, I'm going to talk about the periods. There is 2 3-minute periods with 30-second break in between. During that 30-second break, you have time to get a quick drink and get dried off because you are not allowed to come back if you have sweat on you. The first position that you will start in is neutral. Neutral is when 2 people are standing up and they're both in a neutral position. Out of the neutral position, you can take a shot to score points as long as your hips get behind theirs. The next thing is a push out. Every time you get a push out, you get 1 point. Every takedown, you get 2. Now you have throws. There's different ways that they score throws. There is either a 4-point throw and a 5-point throw. And depending on the way that you do it will decide what point you get. Now let's move on to how you score from throws as well as parterre. You have 5-point throws where you throw them and they get put in a dangerous position, which means they end up on their back and that they are close to being pinned. And then you have 4-point throws where it's just from feet to back. They are very similar, but there's key details that separate them. The ways to score in parterre is there's a lot of different moves. In parterre, you basically score on them by doing different types of rolls to expose their back to the mat. And there's also back points where you do not have to roll, where their back is just at a 90 degree to the mat. This is what I will be using to demonstrate what the 90 degrees is for when someone has back exposure. This would not be back exposure because they are closer to this side than the opposite side. Once they hit this, it is more of a 90 degrees and they are closer to being on their back than they are on the front. That is when they would get 2. You can repeatedly go back and forth to get those points, as well as different turns such as a leg lace, a gut wrench, gator roll, and many others. The way throws are scored is when your person, you can take them from their feet to their back. That would be 4 points because they did not get put into a dangerous position. Now, if I were to throw him this way and go backwards, which would be a suplex, I could get him to land in a position like this, which would be a 5-point move because he's put into a dangerous position of getting pinned. Now, we are going to talk about ways to win. The first way is a tech fall. A tech fall is when you have 10 points higher than the other person. The difference between freestyle and folk style is that it's 10 in freestyle and 15 in folk style. The next is a pin. There's also a big difference between freestyle and folk style when it comes to a pin. In freestyle, once both of the shoulder blades hit the mat and they're there, that is a pin. Sometimes it gets called quicker than others. But in folk style, you have to hold them there longer than just a little bit for them to count that as a pin. And then you have criteria, which, depending on how the situation goes, if you have the same points, the last person to get the point is the winner, unless the person that they are tied with had made a higher scoring point move. And then you have win by points. That is when you just have more points than the other person, and you obviously win. After going over all of those things between scoring and neutral, scoring and throws, parterres, and takedowns, I hope you have a better understanding of how freestyle wrestling is scored. Many factors can lead to winning a match, as you can tell, and some can get over very quickly because it is very easy to get back points, and as well as doing throws, they can rack up quick. You could get thrown 2 times if it's a 5-point move, and the match is over. Hopefully this will help you for the next time that you watch wrestling, or just talk about it with your friends. Thank you.
Where was that 8 months ago when I started